Okay, sorry, I think I reset it. So if anybody is there or able to view, please let me know because we got about 8 minutes before we start, and I want to be sure that everything looks good. I've never done a Facebook Live before, so anything helps. I'm going to just wait a few minutes. You guys can join me back if you like. You could send me a message letting me know that it's working, whatever you think. Let's see. Can everybody see it? I saw somebody was able to see it on the other one before I ended it too early. So if you can see it, if you guys can hear me well, please let me know. If there's anything you think needs adjusting, please let me know before we begin. Okay, I see some of you can see me. So now we know what's going on. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, we're just going to give people a few minutes. We still got about 7 minutes before the stream starts. So just bear with me. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can as we're going. This is really just this is just the beginning. So we have about 7 minutes. You guys can wait with me. You can join back, whatever's easiest. If you see anything that might be disrupting the feed, let me know and I'll fix it. Does anybody know how to see when people are joining? Because I don't. Sorry, guys, you're just bearing with me at this moment. I don't know how to see people. Let me Google it. Oh, cool. How do I turn them on? Okay, let me see. Wait, that's weird. So somebody just told me that the comments are turned off, but I can see a stream of comments on the left side of my screen. So does anybody know how to correct this if there is a mistake in this? Let's Google it. Let's see. Give Facebook access to your camera. Oh, privacy posting settings. Where is this? Let me see. Let's see. Are you guys able to see me and hear me still? Yes. This is confusing, you guys. Like, this is not You guys may think I'm just dumb, but this is a lot harder than you think it is. There's so many buttons. So I'm going to restart in about 3 minutes. If we're running, that's my bad. Oh, okay. This person sees the comments. Okay, so we're good. The only thing is that I can't see people who are joining. I don't know how that works. I don't know if I'm supposed to, if I'm not supposed to. So we'll give it another few minutes. And thank you to this person who is helping me. I don't want to name names. I don't know if they want to be mentioned. So we'll leave it like that. We'll just wait another few minutes before we get started. Again, if there's any moment where you guys think that something is going wrong, please let me know. This is my first time ever going live on Facebook. It's a lot easier on like any other platform. So there's that. Oh, very cool. I can see all your comments on the side of my screen. All right, we'll give it another few minutes before people join in. We might start at like 7:02 if that's okay. I do have my phone. I'm going to be looking at it a lot so I can look back at the things that people have said, the messages that people have sent. And if at any point in time somebody who sent me a message is then uncomfortable, please just message me and I will try my best to stop. Right, even if it's right in the middle, that's fine. I will try my best to keep going. I'm going to be taking it very slow. I don't want to have this be out there and then people not want it there. Thanks, guys. Thanks to everybody who's saying I'm doing amazing on the site. That's really nice. All right, so one more minute here, and then we'll get started. Oh, this is very cool. I'm looking at the app on my phone now, and I see how this is working, and that's crazy. There are quite a few of you guys watching this, which is amazing. All right. So we're going to get started. I can't see how many people are on it. I can't see what's going on. I can only see it on my phone. I'm going to try to stay off my phone until I get to the comments and I get to the messages. So one thing I want to say is I received an overwhelming amount of support. I posted this at like 1 a.m. last night. We've all been in quarantine. We've been reflecting a lot. We all know that high school was rough, middle school was rough. Lynbrook, especially for some reason, was one of the hardest places to grow up for some of us. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. This is scary. So I'm going to keep going on rambles at times. I'm going to be speaking fast at times. I'm going to be... people are still sending me messages, so I'm reading them. There are a lot of you guys who shared your stories with me that don't want to share your stories live, and that's fine. I completely understand it. I completely understand. Like, it was brave of you to even message me, so I want you guys to know that you are heard. I understand what's going on. I understand that so much has happened in your life, but you are who you are. You are where you are because of it. And, you survived. We made it. So now that it's like 7:01, I'm going to actually start. Aw, thanks everybody for the comments. So one thing that I want to talk about is that when I posted the status, I actually almost deleted it because the first reaction that I got was somebody laughing at it. And of course I panicked. I was like, oh my God, like, is this dumb? Like, are we all over high school? Is everybody actually healed from what they went through? And it turns out, no, we're all going through this. We've all been through stuff. We're all experiencing it now that we're in quarantine. We have time to reflect. That's all we have is time to reflect. Every day we're sitting here and we're thinking back to what made us who we are. There are certain things that I realize in life that I've changed just based on what somebody bullied me about. So I'm going to start with my own story from just first grade to eighth grade, because if I told you my whole life story through 12th grade, even, it would take hours. Like the amount of bullying, as bad as that sounds, the amount of bullying that we've experienced just from first grade to eighth grade is going to take quite an amount of time. Um, Everybody has been so supportive. Everybody has been so sweet. And just the fact that you guys are able to trust me with your stories means more than the world to me. Of course, all your stories are safe with me. Anybody who wants to stay anonymous will stay anonymous. Anybody who wants to be heard will be heard. Um, this is going to be the first of what I hope is many. I want more people to know that they can speak out if they want. I want more people to be comfortable letting it out, because when you let it out, you gain control over the situation yourself. Um, it took me a really long time to figure out who I was. And when I finally did, I realized that who I was because of what I went through. So I'm going to start with my own story. So we'll start off easy. It's my own story, so we're going to start off funny. None of the people who caused me any of this are going to be mentioned, because we all grow up and we all grow out of these things. People change. And no matter what, if you send me a story and you want me to tell people who you are, I will, but I will not tell them who the person that you're speaking of is. I will not tell them about the people that did this to you, because people change. Not to say that that's an excuse for anything, but we're not going to bully the bullies that bullied us. So back in like first grade, and I'm going to take things really slowly because I want to make sure I don't slip up at all, because that would be horrible. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is back in first grade. It was like 2000, and like it still sticks with me. I still remember it. There was a kid who was sitting next to me. Obviously, I'm an Indian girl. Obviously, I'm a little hairier than most regular girls in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood are. So I had hair on my arms, and I didn't shave them because, like, who shaves your arms when you're 5 years old? So the kid who sat next to me looked at me and they go, "Your arms are really hairy. You should get rid of that." And I said, "Well, damn. I didn't know that this was a problem. I didn't know that I needed to shave my arms." And I went home. I was taking a bath. I was 5 years old, and I found a razor and I started shaving my arms. And like it was blotchy, it was gross. And then my mom and my aunt came into the bathroom and they were like, "What are you doing to your arms?" And I'm like, "Well, this kid told me that I have hairy arms. There's a solution, so I'm going to take it." And then I went to school the next day and I was like, "Damn, my arms look like trash." And every day since then, I let my arm hair grow back. My mom and my aunt were so supportive. They were like, "Listen, if this kid's got blonde hair and white skin, they're hairy too. They just don't see it." So, that helped a little bit. But to this day, that helped a little bit. But to this day, I do let my arm hair grow out. You might be able to see it. You might not. I mean, it's not even that bad, you guys. I know that now. I'm 25 years old. But back when I was 5 years old, I thought it was bad because my arms were hairier than the other kids around me, because they had blonde hair and light skin. So fast forward, 9/11 happens. I'm in elementary school. I'm in like the only Indian girl other than one other person who is brown. Shout out to Saka. That's my girl since day one. So of course, 9/11 happens. We're young. where 5, 6 years old at the time, it didn't really come into play until we hit about middle school. So I'm going to fast forward all the other stuff. I'm going to go to sixth grade. Sixth grade, my dad was really sick. So I was in and out of the hospital. I was a chubby kid, always. Um, Seventh grade hits. It's still hard. Seventh grade hits. My dad gets called for his lung transplant. And things don't go so well. I start to rely on food. I gain a lot of weight. I hit about 300 pounds by the time I was 12, maybe 13 years old at the time. And on top of that, everybody was starting to understand what happened during 9/11. I was a brown 300-pound, 13-year-old girl in a predominantly Caucasian middle school. Eighth grade comes, and we are now getting mean. Kids are getting mean. It's not something you expect. It's not something you could ever be prepared for. My parents also experienced, racism. They experienced bullying. But something about this hit differently. I was getting phone calls in eighth grade. My dad had gotten out of the hospital. I was happy. I was morbidly obese. 300 pounds at 12, 13 years old is hard. I was eating lunch. Sorry, I'm jumping around, but there's racism, there's fat, there's brown, there's so much going on. So we were eating lunch, and at South Middle School, I don't know if you guys remember the layout, but it was there was one table for the bad kids, and I wasn't a saint, don't get me wrong. I've definitely done some wrong in my life. I may have hurt people, and for that I am sincerely sorry. If you think I did, please message me so we can talk about it. But so the layout in eighth grade lunch was table 1 across from table 10, and then it was by who the coolest kids were sitting at what table. So I had been chewing gum in class, or I was late to class, whatever it was, you got in trouble, you had to sit at table 1. So there were a lot of kids who got in trouble. There were a lot of kids who had to sit at table 1. This was the only time where I wasn't just sitting next to Satka in middle school for lunch. Shout out to you again, Satka. You're the man. So I had to sit at table 1, and I bought double lunch because I was a 300-pound kid, man. You got to sustain it. There's no way I could eat one slice of Ilio's pizza and be full. So I got double lunch, and yes, it was pizza day. Of course I'm getting double lunch. I sit at table 1 because I did something bad. I don't know what it was. And I bought a bag of the baked Lay's potato chips, and this is when they just came out, Baked Lay's potato chips were all the rage when they came out, and I was like, yes, I had enough money. I'm going to buy these Baked Lay's potato chips. I'm going to eat my double lunch. And I open the lunch, I get everything set. I open my chips. I'm eating them. I'm sitting with kids that were bullies, but it's fine because we're doing whatever we're doing. And I say, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom by myself, and I come back to the table after the bathroom. And the kids who I was sitting with, they were all laughing. And I was like, what are you guys laughing about? What happened? And they're all just laughing and waiting for me to eat my lunch. And I'm like, okay, obviously you did something to my food. What could you have done? And I'm reading the comments, sorry. So I go to reach for my chips and I take out a chip and it's soggy. And I'm like, why the hell is my potato chip soggy? And I could see them sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting for me to eat my food. I'm like, I'm not stupid. I'm fat. I'm not stupid. So I reach my hand into the chips and they're soggy. And I look at them and I say, did one of you put this chip in your mouth and put it back in the bag? And they're like, no, 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 we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. And I asked again and again and again. And then I ended up just throwing out my entire lunch. Because what am I going to do? Either I sit there and eat this kid's saliva, or I throw out my lunch and I don't eat for the day. And part of me felt like I shouldn't have been eating for the day. Part of me felt like that's what happened. That's the reason why they did it. They did it because they were bullying me for being fat. They were bullying me because they could, and they touched my food. They touched a 300-pound 12-year-old's food. How do you think I felt after that? I was distraught. And to this day, I will not leave a bag of chips open somewhere on a table that I'm not around, where there are people that I don't trust that are around, because I'm scared somebody's going to shove it in their mouth, put it back in the bag, and wait for me to eat it. Now, that was the beginning of 8th grade. Now we're going to get back to the racism part. So the end of 8th grade, I started making more friends. I started branching out. I started losing weight. My dad was getting better. I was making friends. I was hanging out with them. Food wasn't the only comfort for me anymore. So now, again, I'm going to stop at 8th grade because after this, I want to get to other people's stories, and I could go on forever, but 8th grade really takes the cake. So 8th grade summer comes along. I'm with all these new friends that I'm hanging out with that I thought were friends. And everybody starts to understand what happened during 9/11. Everybody's growing up. They're hearing what the parents are saying. My brother, sister, and I are some of the few kids that were brown that went through Lynbrook School District. I know a lot of you reached out. I know, there are people whose names I will mention because they want me to, that, went through a lot of the same things as me because we were so rare, if that's a word for it. I remember these kids wanted to come over, they wanted to hang out. And also, to be fair, some of these kids did reach out and apologize before any of this happened. But, they wanted to come over, they wanted to hang out in my pool, they wanted to do all that. So I thought I was making friends. I thought we were progressing. I thought all of this stuff. And then one night I get a few text messages about how, I'm a terrorist. I'm going to bomb the school. I'm a towel head. I'm a sand nigger. I'm sorry if to use profanity. And some of the adults, some of the teachers, they saw it. Facebook was becoming a thing. Some kids tagged random brown names, Middle Eastern names on my pictures, Muhammad and stuff. Not that that's anything bad, but I don't get what the joke was, but apparently it was funny to them. So there was a point where we were flying and one of the kids called me and was like, hey, what are you doing? Do you want to hang out? We really wanted to go swimming in your pool. And I was like, oh, I'm actually on my way to somewhere. I'm on a flight. And they were like, you're on a flight? Guys, she's going to bomb the plane. She's going to bomb the plane. She's on a flight to somewhere. And I hung up the phone. And my brother heard. My dad heard. My mom heard. And I was embarrassed. I thought things were getting better. But they weren't. I've outgrown it. I've forgiven, but I can't forget it. And I can't forget what these kids put me through and what they put other kids through now. So that's about as far as I'm going to get today before I start sharing other people's stories. If you have anything else that you want me to talk about, like, I'm sorry I'm crying, but this is freaking emotional, you guys. So if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, that you want me to elaborate on, I am an open book. I will. So please come for me. Oh, thanks everybody for this, like, comments. Like, I'm an emotional wreck, but this is great. This, I honestly feel great. This is amazing. Okay. Now I have a ton of notes, and I want you to see, like, I didn't sleep. I've been up since I posted that status, anxious about what was going to happen. So I want to show you guys how my notes look. So if I seem scattered, it's because I literally am. I've just been writing down things all day in random spots on this sheet of paper, trying to figure out how we're going on. We're already at 26 minutes. All right. I got to, like, speed this up because people are going to lose interest. But let's see. Let's see. Oh, one thing before we get past middle school, somebody had brought to my attention earlier. Shout out to this person. If they want me to shout him out, I will in the next video. I'm not sure if they want to be mentioned or not, so I'm not going to. But the bar and bat mitzvahs in 8th grade, whose idea was it to allow children to have these sweatshirts and shirts and stuff to say who did and did not get invited to these things? That was so embarrassing. Oh, Jamie Bean just said you're dropping bombs right now. That's something I also wanted to mention. So I was so scared for so long to use the term bomb, um, even speak about terrorism, anything like that, because I was worried somebody would be like, oh, well, you bombed them, you did this, you did that. And that's, like, still a fear of mine. I still sit there and I'm, like, scared to say, oh, that food looks bomb, because, like, what if they say, oh, you're a terrorist? That fear still resonates in me. Obviously, it's not going to happen. I mean, it might, and that's not obvious. Obviously, it's something that still resonates in me, but it's not going to affect us. Sorry, I'm trying to read the comments while I'm going. Oh, I'm glad you guys are identifying with this. I want you guys to speak about this. I want you guys to come forward. It feels great letting it out. Um, let's see. All right. So I'm not going to talk about my high school experiences right now. I'm going to talk about experiences that I've witnessed, other people want me to talk about, things that people want me to bring up. One thing about Lynbrook was there was racism, there was rape, there was molestation, there was abuse, and bullying is so much more than a kid pushing you in a locker. Bullying is years and years of trauma. There were parties that I would go to where guys would be handing out drinks, trying to get girls to pass out so they can bring them into a room and keep them there alone. I know these kids, you know these kids. They may have grown from it, they may have not, but this was real. This is still real. And there are kids in high school right now experiencing this that don't know what is going on. How could you know that your friend is trying to roofie you when they're your friend? You know, Lynbrook didn't talk to us about this. The high school assemblies that they gave us were boring and they were off brand. I'm going to get into some of these now because I'm just all over the place, trying not to break down. I'm trying to keep it going. This feels great. I'm so glad that we're doing this. All right, here we go. A lot of people messaged me. a lot of people, and I'm so glad you did. I am so happy that you're letting this out, that you're breathing the air of just straight moving forward, and I'm just so happy for you guys. So this person wanted me to share their story anonymously. I'm going to read it word for word, but I'm going to read it slowly just in case there's anything that shouldn't be spoken about, shouldn't be said. So this person said, I was bullied in Limbrook High School. My brother was a popular kid, and although we're close now, and I never blame him for it, I had people who used to harass and bully me because I was a sister. There were people who I thought were my friends for years, who were only pretending to be my friend as a way to get closer to him. Someone who I thought was my best friend in middle school, I caught them putting on his retainer. I never spoke to them again after that. I was definitely called weird and was referred to as the ugly sibling. Guys would pretend to flirt with me or ask me out just so they could laugh about it after. The popular guys would drive past me and shout to me as I walked home a lot too. Sometimes they would follow me all the way home and harass me along the way. I was definitely the girl that no one noticed or thought anything of in high school. And if they knew me, it was because of who my brother was. But I was shy and kept to myself at the time. I was never sad either. I had my friends and family who I loved dearly, and I was close to, and luckily, I'm a person who has a naturally positive disposition. So this person is one of the strongest people I know. This was just one of the stories. I spoke to them, I responded to them. I wanted them to know that they're not alone. And I will always read your stories and I will always give you the best judgment that I can. I'm not a therapist. I never said I was. I can only tell you that this happened. We lived through it and we're going to move past it. I can't believe that you experienced this. I can't believe that this was accepted. I can't believe that so many teachers saw this and let it go. But I'm so happy that you got it out. I'm so sorry if I'm speeding through these. I don't know what I'm doing yet. This is the first one, so bear with me. The next one, I believe the person said I could share their name. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure. Okay, so this is from Kayla. She said I could use her first name. She said, when I was younger, I lived in Limbrook. I was bullied all throughout middle school, especially by my quote-unquote friends. Older siblings, sorry. By my quote-unquote friends, older siblings. I would come home every day telling my mom I wanted to die. I was about 12. It never ended, and my mom decided we should go live where my dad does. So pretty much it got to such a bad point that my mom's only option was to move. So this person was bullied so hard that they had to move out of Limbrook School District. I'm sorry I'm not spending enough time on these. If I do, I'm going to just break down. This is a lot harder than it might look. So we're just going to move on next. The next one is a kid that I see post on Facebook all the time with the utmost confidence, and he is a role model. He did say I could use his name. So Trevor Ambrico messaged me, and I'm so glad that he did, because for men to come forward with this, it's not always something that's comfortable. It's like, you get it. So he said, it's kind of hard for me to recall specifics because I've kind of blocked out that portion of time in my memory. There were a few physical altercations here and there, which I don't think are worth mentioning. For the most part, it was kind of this baseline level of constant teasing and social exclusion. Mostly, I would just get called gay and faggot, which was dumb, and get made fun of for not having any friends and being told to shut up or no one cares when trying to speak about anything outside of class. It was always the worst during sports related things because I was a poor athlete. Psh, you and I both. Um, I think it kind of stemmed from me being perceived as quote unquote the smart kid in class and the other kids being jealous and feeling the need to prove their superiority in other ways. There were also periods of time where people who I had been quote unquote friends with befriended the bullies and became bullies themselves. Then there were periods of time where other people who had been quote unquote friends with, oh, sorry, I read that already. And I was actually forced to hang out with them after school and on weekends, which was always awkward and terrible. And the worst part about that is for a short period of time in middle school, I actually thought they were my friends. I don't think I really truly understood the concept of friendship until I became an adult. I also think that there were some kids mixed in there that weren't actually trying to bully me, but were just trying to practice social ribbing, and that they probably learned from observing their parents, but which I never learned until my late teens, and which I probably perceived as bullying in my youth because I couldn't tell the difference. I feel bad about that now. So I don't ever want people to feel bad about coming out. I can't say that I can comment on this from like I'm just so scared to say something wrong. Honestly, that's really where I'm at right now. All I can say is that I'm so glad you guys are coming forward to me. Like I'm so glad you guys are airing this out. It feels great for me right now. It feels great to have told you guys what happened, just through middle school. Um, you know, Trevor, I want these people to set the precedent that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to let it out. The next person is just a badass bitch. These people are amazing that came out. This next one is from Sam Christian. She said, I think being Indian and going to Lynbrook High School was a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing because I did learn a lot and the education was great. On the other hand, being Indian and going to Lynbrook School was a curse. And I'm sorry if I'm going through these. The amounts of times I got made fun of because I was brown. How many curry jokes I got, I can't even keep count. I would go home and cry and wish I was white. I got I got blonde highlights to fit in, which I fucking regret. While I would walk in the hallway, the boys from the football team would knock my books down. I kept quiet, okay, guys, you guys don't think this happens in real life? This happens in real life. Never snitched on any of them until one of them told me to go to my country. That's when I had enough. I kept my head down for the remainder of the school year. Maybe 3 years after I graduated, I saw a random kid from Lynbrook at Dunkin' Donuts. He was like, I don't even remember you. I'm like, wow, no way, because you and your boys would harass me over and over, and the administration in Lynbrook did nothing. Now I love being Indian. I'm so proud, and I announce it and tell everyone. I love, love, love being Indian. I love the saris, the food, the custom, the traditions. Okay, this part I might not share. Lynbrook had a problem back then while I attended it. Things have definitely changed because my brother is accepted and loved. I'm happy he will never have to experience what I have been through. It caused me not to love myself. I thought of myself as an ugly person, inside and out. After 30 years, and Lynbrook has a lot to blame, but I am fully happy with myself, and my confidence level is way up there. College taught me to be yourself, never be ashamed of where you come from, and never let anyone make you feel not worthy. I am so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so sorry to the people messaging me right now. I can't read them out loud. I definitely want to read them on the next one. I'm not going to just read them out loud without looking at them first. So I'm sorry, but next time I will for sure read them out loud. So let me just make sure this person said I could say their name before I go on. Okay, so this one is anonymous. This person is also an amazing person. So what they said was, I forgot what the term is for what they did in LHS with the Valentine's Day bears / candies. Why Limbrook thought this was a good idea is beyond me, but let's continue. But basically, you'd be in class and two students would knock on the door and they say, oh, we have a Valentine for blah, blah student from blah, blah student. So basically, I got one from student X, even though he never sent me one. And it was actually the bully, his friend, who faked it all. In the letter, he wrote how he thought I was so pretty and hot and that he had feelings for me and wanted to date me. The kid in my class told me in front of the whole class that he never sent me the Valentines and that it was all a lie and a joke from his friend. I was so embarrassed and felt so shitty because I knew the kid didn't think those things of me. And the whole thing was just so mean. I feel like Limbrook High School would have kids who bullied in many different forms, and that was definitely one of them. The bully later on that day saw me in the hall and died laughing. Didn't even apologize. To be honest, I wish I could have kicked him in the nuts, but I'm sure life will take care of that. You're damn straight life will take care of that, okay? So there are a few more messages that I received that I'm receiving, but I'm not going to go through those right now. I kind of want to wrap this up soon. I know people are just joining in. I know people are starting on this. This was a lot harder than I thought it would be. This is taking me a lot longer than I thought it would also. I don't even think I got nearly through any of the notes that I made. But before I get to the comments of the people who publicly made them on my post, so I'm assuming it's okay to share them on this. If you've experienced any kind of abuse, like I touched upon a little bit earlier, there were definitely like points of assault, there were points of rape, there were points of molestation, there were teachers who would condone the bullying, there were so many factors that I just want people to talk about. Oh my God, somebody just messaged me. I read like the top line, but these people kept kids from going to prom. These people kept kids from experiencing like their high school lives because this was just something fun to them. I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own baggage. I get it, but for people to hinder somebody else's high school like experience because they could, oh my God. If this just helps one kid in high school learn that like you're going to experience this, you're going to experience things for the rest of your life, you're going to go through the trauma, you're going to process it your whole life, but it gets better. Like once you grow to be who you are, you'll be fine. So let's go to these comments, which amazing. All right. So I had about 40 comments, which is insane. So Taylor commented, I actually have wanted to do something like this because I may have not been the nicest. But come on, that's not what we're doing. That's another thing. People are messaging me saying, I know my story. I know the bullying that I went through wasn't as bad as other people. Stop that. Bullying is bullying. Whatever you've been through, you've been through. Everybody experiences things in their own way. When you've been told, okay, but who else would be when you've been told to kill yourself since you were 12 or that you're fat? And I mean, the list is endless. Trevor, again, I was bullied pretty relentlessly in elementary school, middle school, which led to me becoming deeply depressed before I even turned 10. Thankfully, it stopped for the most part. Once we got to high school, maybe they became more mature, or maybe my social ineptitude resolved enough to deal with it and give it just the right amount of pushback in just the right way to not be seen as a target anymore. And now I'm linked in contacts with everyone for some reason. Michelle commented, this is something that I experienced in sociology, and I can firsthand agree with her. I feel like a lot of the more popular kids at Lynbrook High School defined bullying differently. They didn't see what they said as bullying, which is the most dangerous part. I remember one day in Spinella's class, one kid was saying, we don't really have groups in our school, as if there wasn't a jock table, a skater table, etc. in the cafeteria. But also that we didn't have any bullying. I sat there so shocked because I specifically remembered so many times he picked on me in middle school. But he didn't really see any harm in anything that he said, even though now I'm 28, almost 29, and still remember every comment. Same kid also said that when girls wear leggings as pants, they're just asking for you guys to stare at them. So really not a lot of depth to him. There's a separate issue, but I really hate how teachers would always tell girls they couldn't wear spaghetti straps tank tops, even though a lot of the classrooms didn't have ACs because guys, quote unquote, guys already have enough trouble concentrating. Please don't make it harder for them. Okay, somebody mentioned the racism. We covered that topic a little bit, but there was so much racism in LHS. Savannah Young posted, my own boyfriend literally bullied me for 3 years there. Maria Contaveros posted, it's not easy to speak about that, and I give you a lot of credit for being able to. I was bullied a lot too, and it's pretty disturbing to reflect on. I think most people assume when young girls are bullied that it's other girls doing, but I think in our cases, it was mostly the opposite. I believe they had serious insecurities of their own and were very unhappy, and their own appearances / social abilities, with their own appearances / inabilities. And so I left it up to karma to handle it for me. That's what we're all doing. The best revenge that we can have is success, which you guys are thriving. Like, you guys are able to inbox me and message me what's going on, and you are thriving, let me tell you. Scott Cohen posted, I got bullied all through high school and I let it happen to me. No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. You didn't let it happen to you. It happened to you. And like, it's the hand we were dealt, but this is not your fault. Some in college too. It has affected me to this day, no doubt about it. Alexa Zaramatidis. I truly admire you saying this, and it should be said. I'll just say a story right here. I'm an open book, and quite honestly, I'm sure it wasn't the first time something like this happened. But I had a group of popular kids make my quote-unquote crush fake ask me to be his girlfriend. After very soon finding out it was a joke, wanted to share for everyone who had a similar experience that does not feel comfortable sharing. I'm sorry, I read that like weirdly because I wasn't sure when it was going to end. I'm like scrolling up, but that's another one. Daniela Pascal, I hope I'm saying that right. Lynbrook has its own breed of people. North was probably the worst for me, especially 8th grade, with Facebook starting to become popular. Yes. During LHS, I learned to blend into the scenery and keep a few close friends. I played the role of quote unquote the quiet girl who never talked. People forgot I existed, and people literally told me they thought I moved. I didn't even go to prom, again, bringing up the prom situation, because why would I celebrate with a bunch of people I hated? And that's fair. I can only think of the select few from Lynbrook who are actually genuinely good people, but I can count it on one hand. Dakota Giordinello. High school for me was just a place to go to every day. I literally couldn't stand anyone. All of my friends were from other districts, and I'm still friends with them today. I think I talked to 2 people from LHS here and there. I wasn't bullied because I didn't bother with anyone, and I was quote unquote that bitch that wasn't going to take anyone's BS. However, the amount of bullying I did see and hear about was ridiculous. That place is a very distant memory to me, almost to the point where it doesn't even exist. Jessica Hanna. I think high school itself is a glorified bubble of perception to have a class system. We see it everywhere to the point where it's straight in our faces on TV shows. Your popularity from high school doesn't mean a damn thing once you leave it. It becomes focused on how well you developed yourself in society. And then you're in a rat race too, unless you learn to break free of it. Unfortunately, social media brings back our childish high school selves. We are told when we are bullied online that most often it's because that person is going through their own personal issues and transferring it to you. Sadly, we aren't, sorry if I'm sniffling, sadly, we aren't taught that during adolescence, and it takes some serious self-discovery to realize that out of high school, it actually sucks that we have to learn how to heal ourselves and overcome shit that happened when we're still developing to the point where it shapes us as we get older. I feel for anyone that went through this and as it happened to myself plenty all through school. It takes some serious healing, deep diving, and driven mindset to release the triggers, the anxiety, and to grow from it. It's hard, and it's amazing to recognize it. That's facts. All of this is facts, guys. Sarah DeRupo. Oh, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're all doing well. There was so much hatred there, so much bigotry. Everyone who didn't look the way they were quote unquote supposed to was targeted. The bullying was hard, growing up particularly before Lynbrook High School when I was at West End and the bit of time I spent at North. I think it took until I was diagnosed with depression toward the end of freshman year at LHS that I was able to grow beyond the bullies. It's insane to think that it took medication and years of therapy for me to survive it all. When I had my spine injury, I moved from the gay kid to the crippled kid. And things got a little worse for a bit in 11th grade. I don't think it was until I started actively missing school that people eased up because someone had just realized it was serious. But even then, the loving, quote unquote, teasing from my friends started to hurt after a while. I hope the kids there nowadays are better, more loving than we were as a generation. I hope so too. Hold on, I need a break. That was gross. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Oh, okay. So there have been a lot of people like apologizing and stuff on these chats, and like this is beautiful, you guys. Like I'm done going through the comments for now. I'm not going through these messages. I'm not going to make them part of this video. I'll do another one on Friday because I want to be able to go through these. I went through all of these messages that I read this morning. I want to make sure that we are 100% on where we stand with sharing these stories. These are very sensitive topics. High school was rough, middle school was rough, and elementary school was rough. There are kids going through it right now. What I want everybody to take back what happened. I want you guys to own it. I want you guys to see that you've grown into the beautiful people that you are and take it back. You're not alone. That's the ultimate thing that I want to get to. You know, the kids who went to Lynbrook, we've all lost somebody to suicide. Whether you were friends with them or not, we know somebody who killed themselves. If it wasn't killing themselves, it was drugs. And you know why they did drugs? Because they're also depressed. I mean, that's not a quote. I'm just generally like ranting right now. But if everybody was able to come clean and discuss what happened and people were able to understand what people were going through, how much better would high school have been? How many kids would have gone to prom? How many kids would have been friends with people that they never expected to be friends with? How many kids would have went to school not fearing school the next day? How many kids wouldn't have flunked class because they were worried about what was going to be said about them? I'm about to hop off this, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry I cried because that was way more intense than I thought it was going to be. I'm probably going to cry every time because you guys are freaking You guys are superheroes, but this was amazing. I am so happy with the turnout that we had. I'm so happy with the people messaging me. My inbox is overflowing right now, and I am so happy for all of you guys. I love you all. I hope you all have an amazing night, and I can't wait for Friday. How do I end this? Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Hold on. So many boxes, I can even X out of them in time. All right, let's, end live video. Bye, you guys.